Seeing as you watched us on game day this morning, the fans in Cleveland laying the stadium to rest. First game played September 9th, 1931. Art Modell, well, not the most popular, and understandably from the young fans who will never really grow up to understand what the Cleveland Browns have meant to this city. And like others, they feel they were stabbed in the back. They were exciting, weren't they? There are some that said, thanks, Art. Lou Groza, one of the many Hall of Famers of the Cleveland Browns that came back. The ushers not ripping the tickets to today's game because somebody wanted to keep it. Jim Brown, the greatest Brown, probably the greatest player ever in the NFL. An emotional day for him, and Mike Brown looking very much like his dad did with that hat. Nobody introduced individually. The team came out as a group and shook hands like Michael Jackson did with the fans. Oh, yeah, there was a game in the second quarter. Vinny Testaverde to Frank Hartley, just like a left tackle, 7-0 Brown. Middle of the second quarter, Andre Rison makes a play, and he says, come on, we didn't do it. Come on, fans, help me out. And he knows that the fans love the players. They just don't know what to do. 2 plays later, Vinny to Rison. He does it again. Come on, let's get fired up. One of 4 Matt Stover field goals. At that point, made it 10-3. Vinny to Keenan McCardle, a diving touchdown. 17-3 to Browns. They go on to win it 26-10, but this is the play to McCardle. That was the one that didn't make it to Rison. Here is McCardle's play. 26-10 at the end, but the fans, what do you expect? They wanted their piece of history. They didn't really want it, but that's what they were left to. Taking seats out by the road. And then some, we don't want it. The Browns.
25 years ago today, the final game played at Cleveland Municipal Stadium for the old Cleveland Browns. And finally, it looks like maybe the old Cleveland Browns are being put to rest, and there's a new Cleveland Browns. What is up, everybody? My name is Jeremy. That is Drew on the other side here. Welcome into the Full Coverage Football Show, man. How you doing tonight?
Berman's been at it for a while, man.
Yes, he has.
Legend.
That audio and video courtesy of ESPN Primetime, I believe. It is a YouTube clip that I had to play up. Man, 25 years ago, the Browns left, and it feels like they haven't been here for that long.
Well, they have.
Finally.
I mean, there's been a team. There's been a team, but
I mean,
they've done it.
There's been a team, but they've been hot.
I get it.
Garbage.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Monday night, the 9-3 Cleveland Browns welcome in the 7-5 Baltimore Ravens, and they played what is possibly the NFL game of the year as the Browns lost 47-42 to the Baltimore Ravens. Was that the game of the year so far?
Yeah, I don't think there's any question about it. The drama that unfolded in the fourth quarter, it'll be talked about, and then just being, the game being ended by Justin Tucker, who's just ice cold. That'd have been good from 70 in the 20-degree weather there in Cleveland. So, what I kind of take away from it a little bit is when you look at Baltimore and Justin Tucker, which I bring up, and nobody likes to care about talk about kickers, but Justin Tucker's a weapon for that team. And you look at the other side, the Cleveland Browns, and what Cody Parkey did in that game, and that right there is something that makes and breaks games in the NFL. Mm-hmm. Typically, games in the NFL for the most part are pretty close. I know this last Sunday we kind of had a shit first afternoon slate, but sometimes the special teams comes down to it, and he's the best in the business, and he's an assassin, and he took. I mean, listen, Cody Parkey was bad, and that game would have been different had Cody Parkey been good. So that was a big takeaway for me in that game.
Yeah, I mean, the Browns gave up basically 11 points to the Ravens. You had the interception by Baker that led to a touchdown, and you had the missed field goal and the missed extra point by Parkey. And absolutely, when you're talking weapons, Justin Tucker is probably a Hall of Famer as a kicker because the guy is that damn good. From 55 in that stadium going towards a dog pound, that is not an easy kick.
And it was good from 65.
Straight down the middle. Straight down the middle. And the thing is, we all knew when it came down to that Tucker was going to hit that kick because that's who he is. That's what the guy does. For the Ravens, it's a huge game because it keeps them in playoff.
Would you rather have Tucker from 50 or Parkey from 35?
Tucker from 50. And Parkey's been good this year. Don't get me wrong. He's been good, but nobody touches Justin Tucker.
I agree.
And we can talk about it. We talked earlier this year, probably Harrison Butker was solid when he hit that 58-yarder, 3 times in a row. But Harrison Butker's really good, but he's not anywhere near Justin Tucker level. And here we are talking about a kicker after that game, but that's how good that guy is. I mean, think about that. That's how good he is that this amazing 47-42 game, we're talking the kicker because we knew he was going to hit that. We know how good he is. But like I was saying, for the Ravens, that game puts them back in playoff contention. For the Browns, yeah, it's a loss, 9-4 now. You could have been 10-3, which would have been huge. Possibly put your arch rival to bed for the playoffs. But still at 9-4, you're still in the 5th spot. You're still in the driver's seat for the top wild card, which you could end up facing the Pittsburgh Steelers if things balance out. So you could still face a division rival in the playoffs. But for the Browns, does this show that this team is ready to not only get to the playoffs, but possibly win a playoff game?
You know, it was definitely a step in the right direction, right? I think the only thing that really changed was the thought of maybe catching Pittsburgh, right? That certainly changed. However, they played really, really well. Defensively, they're getting healthier with Denzel Ward practicing. I think that's a big deal because we can say whatever we want. They gave up, 47 points. To me, that's concerning. But I certainly think they are going to make the playoffs. I am not sure, depending matchup-wise, can they possibly win a game? Maybe. But I think the defense needs to be shored up. But the offense, outside of one throw, Baker looked really good. They can run the ball. So I think they're set up to win. To be honest with you, the way that their offense is set up is beautiful for a playoff run with what they can do with running the football, a quick screen game, things like that. But that defense is not going to allow them to do a whole lot of anything unless Myles Garrett's in the quarterback's lap on a frequent basis.
Absolutely. That back seven's awful. And right now it's due to a lot of injuries. Denzel Ward out, Grant Delpit missing the season, your second-round pick, Ronnie Harrison out. Basically, those are 3 guys who come next year. This team is going to be really good on defense. And I don't think anybody should be looking at the Browns as maybe putting a Super Bowl run, even though Rex Ryan said if Baker plays like he did the first half of, the Tennessee game, this could be a Super Bowl team. But let's be honest, the Browns are not a Super Bowl team. And absolutely, the lack of linebackers is going to hurt in the playoffs. That will be the downfall. They'll make a playoff run.
He hit it on the head. And we knew this coming into the season, though. We knew it coming into the season. They had nobody.
Absolutely. And you look at what they have at linebacker. Yeah, they lost Joe Schobert. That one hurt. But B.J. Goodson has been just as good as Joe Schobert based on PFF grades for those are whatever you want to do with them. But Mack Wilson was a guy you took in the 5th-round pick. And so many teams thought, or so many fans thought, oh, Mack Wilson, he's so good. The guy's a 99 on Twitter, but he's a 65 on the field. He had a chance to stop Dobbins. Or no, it was Gus Edwards. In the hole, he cleans up the hole, has him, and he just basically lets him go. Mack Wilson has not been good. Sione Takitaki growing. Browns have a lot of work to do, but I think what that game showed more than anything is this team's for real, and there's no doubt in my mind at this point in the season, even though I was all on Mike Tomlin, it is now Kevin Stefanski's Coach of the Year award to lose at this point. That's all I got to say about that game.
I'm not going to even. I don't agree. I think I disagree with Coach of the Year.
Who you got as Coach of the Year then?
I don't know. I don't know. It's not Kevin.
Stefanski took a crap Freddie Kitchens team. We can talk Freddie Kitchens later. How exciting is that?
But he took a roster that was somewhat built to win.
It was.
To an extent. So, but no, Kevin Stefanski, he's definitely in the conversation. Let's see how they finish, because now if they make the playoffs and they have winnable games. 2 of their last 3 games are winnable, including this week, which we'll get into. But
with the Browns, this is me looking at the Browns. Yeah, I'm a Browns fan, but I'm not going to sit here and suck their ass. That's not the way I'm going to do things. I'm not going to suck up to them. For the Browns to really be taken seriously, I think, yeah, you should win both games coming up against New York. But that Week 17 matchup, if it is based on seeding, if you need to win that game for certain seeding, you have to win that game, not only to get your seeding, but because you have to show you can stand with the big boys in your own division. So hopefully it doesn't come down to that game means nothing for either team, and we end up seeing like Case Keenum versus Mason Rudolph. But speaking of Browns, and a reason I showed that video at the top here is not only that it's the 25th anniversary of the Browns' final game at Municipal Stadium, but a guy who played for the Browns in that game has been in the news all week. And this has to go to your team, the Detroit Lions, who emblazoned your hat there.
Yeah.
Louis Riddick. Louis Riddick, former Brown safety, played in that game under Bill Belichick, interviewing with the Texans, Lions, and Jags this week. Former pro scout in Washington in 2001, he was the director of pro personnel from 05 to 07. He moved to Philly to be their director of pro personnel from 2010 to 2013 before deciding to move into the broadcast booth. Louis Riddick, a guy whose name is always bandied about. I like him. I'm pretty sure you like him. What do you think about his chances of being the Lions GM? And if he gets that job, what do you expect out of him?
Wow. Listen, Louis Riddick's a great football mind. He's very intelligent. He knows the game. The chances of him getting the job, in my opinion, it's hard to tell right now, based off of we've kind of just began the process. But I do give him a solid shot at getting the job based off of what I've heard, who he wants to bring in, along with if he would bring in a Robert Saleh, things like that. That's certainly something that a lot of people have talked about. It's for me as a Lions fan, everybody's worrisome, right? When we hire a GM. But a guy, we've seen success from John Lynch, Mayock, Gruden at the head coach position. So there is kind of a track record of it. I would be more comfortable with somebody with a little bit of experience. And as you and I touched on earlier, sometimes experience means that you were out of a job and you were fired for a reason. But for me, the Lions in all their years have never hired a general manager with any sort of track record at all. So why the hell not try now? Things can't get any worse for us.
Well, there are the rumors that they are going to interview Scott Pioli this week. Would you rather have Scott Pioli than Louis Riddick?
No.
Okay. And there's also former Texans general manager Rick Smith. Would you rather have Rick Smith?
I would rather have Rick Smith. Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
At this point, that in my mind is my top choice for GM. And that's the way I feel about it. But yeah, if Scott Pioli gets hired, Lions fans would riot, and he might be the right hire, but just the Patriot ties we're hurt right now. We're wounded, right? It's still fresh with us.
Yes.
We brought in every expatriate player possible. Like, give us some time to heal. Don't do this to us again. And so I think that would probably piss off a lot of Lions fans.
Do you think Louis Riddick gets one of the jobs that he's interviewing for this year?
Yes, I do.
I'm with you on that. I think he'd be an excellent fit anywhere he goes because I think he's going to go in with an open mind. The guy, what he said, at least in the broadcasting booth, is that when you take over a position, you don't trade away the talent instantly to bring in your guys, which is something we've talked about on the show. We're both big on. Keep the talent you have. Stop with the whole, it's going to take a few years to rebuild. Because in the NFL, yes, it can take time to fully rebuild.
It shouldn't,
but
though.
You can start to turn it around instantly and at least show steps forward.
Which is why it's incredible the Lions and Browns have been bad for as long as they've been.
Exactly. In a league set up
to prepare
everyone even. Yeah. Our teams have just been god awful. It's so true. And it's
incredible. It's so incredible.
But
by the way, if they hire Lewis, I mean, he's not my top choice, but I wouldn't be pissed if they hired Louis Riddick. I think he's going to be a capable, competent general manager in the league. Maybe it's not my top guy.
Yeah, and I understand. I mean, especially coming from what you just had, you want a guy who can hopefully come in and maybe be the adult in the organization, which is what we talked about a lot with, Washington this offseason. That Ron Rivera was going to come in, finally be the grown-up in the room, and changed that team.
He has.
Yeah, they're fighting for division title. That defense looks scary. But they look like they have leadership, which is the biggest thing. So for all these guys who, no matter who your team's interviewing, what you want out of them is pure leadership. And I know a guy you've talked about before, and you're talking about, maybe a guy coming in with experience, a John Dorsey. John Dorsey can come in and lead a team, but he's not going to be that adult in the room. John Dorsey still needs a babysitter. That was always my biggest thing with him. So if you bring in a John Dorsey, you need someone around him to kind of reel him in. So for some of these guys, they're on the market for a reason. Other guys, they didn't get a fair shake. Scott Pioli's done well everywhere he's been, but he just never really. I'm not even sure 100% what happened with him. Times he builds rosters, but maybe didn't get the head coach right. I know all the issues they had in KC when he ended up hiring the interim, which to all teams with an interim head coach right now, I always say this: don't hire the interim. Like, how would you feel right now if Darrell Bevell became your full-time head coach based on what you've seen for 2 games?
Don't want to talk about it. I'll tell you that
I'm
right
with
now.
you.
I mean, it's for me, it's just and the thing that, not to get off base, the thing that happens most times with these teams is once there's a firing of the head football coach, the team seems to have like a rejuvenated spirit for a short period of time. And sometimes, these GMs, these owners, have their blinders on and they see this and they see some success and they bring a guy back, Freddie Kitchens type. And then, although Freddie wasn't the head coach, but you get the point. And it usually doesn't work.
Yeah, guys play better, the pressure's off. Guys coach better when the pressure's off. I mean, it works. And dude, I'm having some issues with this ring light over here. It keeps swaying back and forth. Apparently I broke the lock on it or something. So if you see weird shadows going across my face, no, it's not demons or ghosts. It's just crazy lighting. Anyway, we got a jam-packed show tonight. It's going to be a lot of fun. We are talking a lot of college football tonight. We're going to talk all the big-time conference championships. We're going to talk the college football rankings because I honestly think a lot of teams got screwed in that, and they make zero sense to me. But we're going to be joined in a little bit by Detroit Beastie Chris. You can follow him on Twitter at Detroit Beastie. Check him out on dfscheatsheet.com. Joins us every Thursday. He will probably make an appearance at some point. Last time I heard from him, he was driving an ice storm. Chris, I hope you're being safe, man.
Yeah.
Oh, look, he's just about to connect now. I mean, every week Chris joins us. You can follow his work on dfscheatsheet.com. Follow him on Twitter at Detroit Beastie. Make sure you check out that bottom of the barrel article every time it comes on. You check that out. It's going to help you in FanDuel. It's going to help you in DraftKings. It's going to help you win your fantasy leagues. And this is a big, big week because we're talking fantasy football playoffs, bro. You in the fantasy playoffs in any of your leagues?
Am I?
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 of 3. 2 of 3.
Nice.
The one league, though, I've won like 2 games. So, I like, listen, that league's just, it's not great. Remember last year in your league that you invited me to, I was terrible.
Yeah.
This year I've been a little bit better. I think I'm in the playoffs this year, but yeah, this other league, it's my brother-in-law's league and I am terrible. And when I say I'm a bad team, I'm losing by like 50 a week. It's tough to watch. It's tough to watch.
Yeah. I'm 4 out of 5 on mine. One league, the ESPN league, the one you were just talking about. That's the league I didn't make playoffs because I had a damn tie. But I don't want to talk about that. Let's bring on the man to talk fantasy football here. Let's bring on at Detroit Beastie.
Chris,
brother, how you doing tonight?
I'm great. How are you? Good evening.
Can't complain.
I forgot to ask you, Drew. I know you're in Michigan, right? But I don't know what area. Didn't you say downriver somewhere?
Nope, I'm actually from Detroit. But okay. I live in Cleveland now.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah, because I'm like 5 minutes away. Actually more like 5 or 10 miles north of the actual city right now, and it's just been nothing but snow and ice.
That's what I was going to ask you.
Going on like 3 nights here, and it's Michigan in the wintertime. What do you expect? I hate when people say, "Can you believe it? It's snowing, all this ice." I look around and I look them dead in the face and go, "It's winter in Michigan. What the heck else do you want?"
Yep, I got my snowblower. We got Jeremy. I'll tell you, we got like a foot. At least we did here I'm on the opposite side of the city than he is. Maybe a couple weeks ago, we got like 12 inches overnight and then 4 inches during the day. So it's been. I'm glad you got home safe.
First time in my life.
Thank you. Yeah, I still got my my face guard on and walking around like this all day. So
it's beautiful. Jeremy or Chris, are you in fantasy? I know you do DFS a lot, but how many fantasy leagues are you in? Are you in any just normal fantasy leagues? And how many fantasy leagues is too damn many?
Well, personally, I think we might have touched on this early on when we were getting to know each other and we were broadcasting. I cut down big time this season. I was at one point in upwards of like 37, somewhere around there. The highest I've ever been in was, I believe, 51 leagues. But I cut way down for the season because I wanted to concentrate on writing and broadcasting and being here with you guys. So cutting way down, I cut down to 4 leagues, right? A home league, actually 2 home leagues, my big 14 team PPR IDP dynasty. And then after I had already cut down, I had other organizations come to me for charitable kind of leagues.
Yeah,
so
yeah. What you got? Yeah,
church would I look like if I said no?
right.
So I joined 4 of those leagues. So
Yeah.
it's been fantastic. I mean, even so, if you add up the numbers, we're talking 8 fantasy leagues, and to most people, that's nothing. But to me, after cutting down, it's been a breeze. It's been fantastic. You know, I'm not. You know, people send you messages all day. Hey, did you look at my trade offer? What way? And your head is spinning and you don't know what to do.
Right.
And to be fair, I can't even imagine what that would be like now with all the social media stuff that we're into, and all the writing, writing like 6-7 articles a week for various sites and everything. So I'm very glad I toned it down, I should say.
Yeah, I just don't it's hard to have any like real like love and commitment to one particular league when you're in so damn many.
That's it. Yeah.
But anyway, man, let's jump right into it, man. Talk bottom of the barrel. What are we feeling that it's you've been, for anybody that hasn't tuned into bottom of the barrel, he has been on fire from the get-go. If you've played NBA Jam, you've heard it. I could say that basically. Yeah, and that's pretty much what it's been. You've killed it, man. Tell everybody what you like in this week.
Yeah, so I want to announce here for the first time, there will be a special Saturday edition of Bottom of the Barrel out tomorrow in the morning around 9 or 10 Eastern. So it'll cover just the Saturday's games, Buffalo at Denver, and then Carolina at Green Bay. It's already done and written. Just got to put some particulars on it, but the plan is to publish it in the morning just for Saturday, a special holiday edition, if you will, much like we did the Thanksgiving Day game.
For the people.
Yeah, I wish we had some sound effects so we could have done a drum roll and then like a kind of thing, on the show. But we'll get that.
That's on Jeremy. That's on Jeremy.
For this week, as you said, let's get right into it. Of the quarterbacks, I love the idea of Taysom Hill. The New Orleans Saints, they're at home. They host Kansas City. And some people, there's been a lot of questions about, do I sit Taysom Hill? Actually, all the start-sit quarterback questions I've been asked in the last 3 or 4 days, they all have Taysom Hill in there. Taysom Hill, Mitch Trubisky, and to be fair, it's been a no doubter Taysom Hill for seasonal leagues, but even in DFS formats, as I said, home against Kansas City, he's $7,500 on FanDuel and even $6,000 on DraftKings. Now, the casual person, the casual DFS fan or fantasy, player would see Kansas City. They would see the red and the yellow, and I don't want to touch Kansas City. Well, they're very good on offense. Defense, not so much. Obviously, they're going to make a run at the Super Bowl here, but Kansas City is 17th overall against opposing quarterbacks. And given the price range, as I've said, $75K on FanDuel and even $6K on DraftKings, Kansas City is going to hang 30 points, 28 to 30 points, on Sunday with ease. I mean, that's just their floor for points in a game, meaning Taysom Hill and the New Orleans Saints are going to be playing from behind or trying to play catch up, keeping pace with the Kansas City Chiefs in this one. So I love him for that reason alone. And I'm still, we're week 15 probably just kicked off 5 minutes ago, right? And I'm still getting questions about, well, you don't care that Kansas City's going to win and the Saints. I don't care if the players on these teams win or lose. I care about points, scoring touchdowns.
Exactly.
And points. If the New Orleans Saints lose, what do I care? But what did Taysom Hill do? That's all that matters here. So moving on, in passing, I'll mention an NFC North battle this weekend. Kirk Cousins and the Minnesota Vikings host the Chicago Bears in this one. I kind of, this was written on Sunday. I tuned it up Monday and then I published it Monday night or Tuesday morning this week. And, I did a DST streaming article that was published today. And I talked myself into this probably being some sort of a defensive battle here. These two teams hate each other. They're in Minnesota. I could easily see it being seriously like a 9 to 13 kind of game, but I could easily see it being 27 to 28 kind of thing, 31-28 here. So in passing, I'll mention Kirk Cousins, Chicago, 9th overall against opposing quarterback, $7,200 on FanDuel, $6,100 on DraftKings. And then Mitch, who's been on a heater. You have to give credit where credit is due here. Mitch is on a heater. Mitch is $7,000 on FanDuel, $5,500 on DraftKings. And Minnesota is 15th overall against opposing quarterbacks here. I'd be remiss if I didn't touch on Jalen Hurts, who looks to be, is without a doubt, the starting quarterback for Philadelphia Eagles here. They travel to Arizona, which isn't as daunting as people think. They're 14th overall against opposing quarterbacks, $6,900 on FanDuel, nice, and then $5,900 on DraftKings here. Now, if you would tell me that, you know, Miles Sanders is going to get another full workload, kind of like he did last week, and some of these other, you know, Goddard, Zach Ertz is kind of, but he's has some weapons at his disposal here. That goes without saying. I'm not saying that Carson Wentz was the entire reason for that team playing like trash here, but kind of it was. But Jalen Hurts stepped in. He's looked good here. Matthew Stafford was mentioned in the article, top of the quarterback. I saw that. By all accounts here locally, and now it's spread out all over the country, Matthew Stafford is highly unlikely to play in this one. So in turn, we turn our attention to Chase Daniel, their second string quarterback, who looks to be starting this weekend. The Lions traveled to Tennessee, and they're going to get absolutely obliterated by Derrick Henry. I mean, let's be honest. Derrick Henry might see 50 carries and put up 300 yards in this one. But in the meantime,
Drew doesn't want to hear that right now.
Chase Daniel is $6,500 on FanDuel, and he's $5,000 on DraftKings. And Tennessee is 28th overall against opposing quarterbacks. And I'm guessing that you're in a matchup this weekend, Drew, against Jeremy maybe, and as Derrick Henry. I don't want to hear that. So
I'm in the Derrick Henry thing. It's tough, man. I needed Christian McCaffrey to come back this week, and he's not. But I hope later you tell me something great about Jeff Wilson.
I'm with you. I don't think.
We having technical difficulties. Chris, you still there?
Here, you guys. Yeah, I'm here.
All right, there
we
you
got him.
If you can hear me, I'll. Oh, you're here. All right, let me. Okay. If I cut out one more time, I'll get out of here, and then I'll get back in with my brand new computer. I don't know why I'm not using it in the first place there. The phone is kind of a comfortable thing, you know. You can move around. I do want to mention, I mentioned Jarrett Stidham, New England Patriots quarterback, on Wednesday, you know, in the going deep that we deep dive into bottom of the barrel here. There's just, I'm having a feeling that the Patriots aren't going to put up with Cam Newton being, you know, such a bum. I mean, he's put the Patriots at a disadvantage week in and week out here, especially last week. They only put up like 220 so odd yards there. So just be mindful. Let's check the practice reports and everything. And Jarrett Stidham, $6,100 on FanDuel, $5,100 on DraftKings. Now, it would be nuts, right, to put Stidham in your lineup for Sunday, knowing that Cam Newton is the starting quarterback. But let's say that Bill Belichick pulls the plug in the second quarter and you get like 2.5 quarters out of Jarrett Stidham. So it's just a weird feeling I have in my chest and my stomach, and I've learned to trust that.
Yes,
and it's yielded some pretty good results the last few years here. So moving on to running back, Derrick Henry is the most expensive running back on the slate here. He's over $10,000 on FanDuel, $9,500 on DraftKings, just to put these other running backs into perspective. I love a collection of the Baltimore Ravens running backs this weekend. I've made no bones about, stacking two running backs from the same team all season. We've had luck with it. Antonio Gibson, J.D. McKissick. I believe we stacked Chris Carson and Travis Homer earlier in the season. So we've had success here. We've had successful results here, but they have to be, educated kind of guesses. So J.K. Dobbins, and I love J.K. Dobbins and stacking him with Gus Edwards here. So Dobbins looks to be now the RB1 there for Baltimore. Jacksonville's 29th overall against opposing running backs. $5,900 on FanDuel, $5,900 again on DraftKings. And the Gus Bus, he's $5,500 on FanDuel and $4,400 on DraftKings. Now, we've seen both backs. They get a ton of work. Dobbins scored a touchdown on Monday night. Gus scored twice on Monday night here against Jeremy's Cleveland Browns here. So
That's
Everyone
I have
scored a
issues
touchdown that
stacking
game.
both Baltimore running backs in this
Yeah.
one. I love J.D. McKissick again. I just can't get away from him. And again, if Antonio Gibson is starting this week, by all he looks to be, he was at practice. Gibson looks to be ready to go here. I think that only elevates J.D. McKissick. People say, well, if Gibby comes back, McKissick was seeing 10 targets and catching 9 to 10 passes when Gibby was in the lineup.
Yeah.
So J.D. McKissick is better off when Antonio Gibson is in the lineup here. I want to keep my eyes out on Jeff Wilson Jr., San Francisco's running back. They play Dallas.
There it
Dallas
is. There it is. Rob, come
absolute
on,
shambles,
baby.
right?
Tell me good things.
The Dallas's offensive line is it's like a mash unit. Just they're piecing it together with glue, Elmer's glue. I don't know. Wilson is $5,800 on FanDuel, $5,100 on DraftKings. Now, look, Raheem Mostert looks to be their RB1, but Jeff Wilson, I believe, got 10 or 11 carries last week. So if both of you told me right now, you can count on definitely 10 touches for Jeff Wilson Jr. this week, I would have 100% exposure. But instead, I'm going to, not limit my exposure, but not 100%. That puts you at a risk, in that situation. James White is a good one. New England plays Miami. $5,200 on FanDuel, $4,500 on DraftKings. And one more guy I want to mention here, and that's Tony Pollard, right? So I had no idea, Sunday night, even into Monday, even after the article was published, I had no idea that Pollard got one less carry than Zeke this past Sunday here. So that's like a 95, that's like a 51 to 50% target share in this one between those guys here. So let's say Zeke Elliott has been.
And the grass is always greener with a little extra love from Mother Nature.
I don't know what's going on with my phone over there. It just started yelling at me all of a sudden. Sorry about that.
Sounds like Britney Spears is coming on your alarm.
Yeah, I didn't know what it was. Finally just shut off after I threw it.
Zeke Elliott, he's been dealing with some sort of strained calf or a sore calf, and he's still not practicing. I have him in my 14-team IDP dynasty, and I'm one win away from the finals, and I don't know if I'm going to have Zeke or not, but I have handcuffed him with Tony Pollard. So in DFS purposes, I think Tony Pollard is a full go here this weekend. $4,700 on FanDuel, $5,200 on DraftKings. So regardless if Zeke is in or not, I'm still going to have Tony Pollard in some of my lineups here. The price is too sweet. I've talked about Tony Pollard till I've been blue in the face here. The guy looks electric. He looks like he's got a pep in his step. He's certainly more refreshed than Zeke, let's say. So that's what I have for running backs. I mean, if you want to touch on a guy like Ito Smith real quick, I wouldn't mind here kind of arguing with myself. But Atlanta plays Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is 7th overall against opposing running backs, $4,800 on FanDuel and even $4,000 on DraftKings. So I'll ask you guys so I can catch my breath before we move on to wide receivers here. What do you think of Todd Gurley? Is this guy done? Is it over for him? It certainly looks that way.
Well,
you think he's done, Drew? I don't know, man.
He can be a occasional down back with 6 touches. I mean, but what Todd Gurley was is over. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he's not a 25 carry a game guy. He's not a feature guy.
He's not even a 13 to 15 carry a game guy.
Wow.
Well, and he also lacks the ability to catch the ball in the backfield. So he's kind of one dimensional. And to Chris's point, they have somewhat other eye. I mean, it's kind of a dumpster fire. But Chris just pretty much hit on, Zeke sucking, which is terrible for me. But we're hoping for good things, man.
100%. And real quick, it wouldn't be a bottom of the barrel show with you guys if we weren't picking on the Houston Texans. I firmly believe I've mentioned the opposing running back against the Houston Texans every week so far this season. So week 15 here, the Indianapolis Colts host the Houston Texans here. So obviously Jonathan Taylor is a full go. I believe he's finally that RB1, right? And
finally getting that.
Took some time, but he's there. So, let's look to get exposure elsewhere like Nyheim Hines. But I like Jordan Wilkins in this one in some sort of relief role and some sort of garbage time here. Wilkins is the cheapest back of the 3, $5,000 on FanDuel, $4,000 on DraftKings here. So just some running backs and some quarterbacks so far that have piqued my interest. And I put pen to paper here for bottom of the barrel. Now, something I came across when I was doing my research here, if you look at the DFS slates, especially on FanDuel, aside from the running back, every offensive skill position aside from running back, the most expensive player is that of the Kansas City Chief. Patrick Mahomes at quarterback, Tyreek Hill at wide receiver, and then Travis Kelce at tight end. I think that tells a story all in its own here. So Tyreek Hill is $9,300 on FanDuel, $8,800 on DraftKings to put the prices here. I think we should go back to the well here with CeeDee Lamb. We had great success with Lamb early on in the season. We hit home runs with him when he was about $5,900, if you remember. It was in bottom of the barrel, scored twice that same week here.
And he got moved out because he got too expensive.
He graduated, and then he came back. Just a quick visit here with bottom of the barrel. CeeDee Lamb is now, he's back below $6,000. He's $5,800 on FanDuel, $4,500 on DraftKings here.
Steal.
Dallas hosts San Francisco. San Francisco is 13th overall against opposing wide receivers here. And I've had several spirited conversations on social media about why I'm stupid or I'm an asshole for suggesting CeeDee Lamb here. And, I don't talk down to anybody. I don't get in fights with anybody, especially on social media. It doesn't make sense. What's the point here? So with CeeDee Lamb, I don't care who the quarterback is. I'm going to bet on the talent every time. And CeeDee Lamb is unbelievably talented. So let me look up what I have for his projections this week, just to kind of prove a point here. So let's say CeeDee Lamb is targeted, 6 or 7 times, which would be fantastic. That's what he was seeing when Dak Prescott was his quarterback. But now Garrett Gilbert, Andy Dalton here. So I have Lamb for about 6 targets, catch about 4 or 5 of those passes. I won't even tell you the yards I have projected for him, or that he averages about 12.5 yards per reception. If you could promise me a definite 5 receptions for CeeDee Lamb at this price, 100% exposure, because the talent is so immense there with this kid. Of those 5 receptions I think he's going to get, one of those could be a flipping touchdown. 2 of those could be a touchdown here. So talent will always win out for me, right? I don't care who the quarterback is. Andy Dalton, Garrett Gilbert, Jerry Jones could, dust off his cane and play quarterback. I'm still going to, bet on. I think we would be unbelievable, huh? Unbelievable.
You're breaking up there for a second.
You're back.
All right, cool.
I'll be right back. I'm gonna hop in on my computer. Sorry for the
Nope, take your time, man. We'll talk about some other stuff. All right. For those of you listening, follow Chris on Twitter. You get awesome fantasy information. You get these great graphics. He's got Baker going for 250 and 2 scores this week.
Baker.
He got 20 rushes, 80 yards for Cam Akers, who is finally playing like the guy I drafted early in so many rounds. 5 receptions, 100 yards for A.J. Brown. And Cole Kmet finally making something out of that draft pick and the 36 tight ends they have there in Chicago. But something he touched on that I do want to bring up is Jonathan Taylor finally getting all the carries there in Indy. He's going to be the future back, and this is a guy who, when he gets the carries, obviously can handle the workload. He showed it at Wisconsin.
He's a horse.
So looking ahead in keeper leagues, franchise leagues, is this a guy that you're going to maybe look at to trade? Maybe would you trade a Dalvin Cook to get a Jonathan Cooper long-term? What would you do?
Jonathan Cooper. Oh, Jonathan Taylor. What the
Jonathan Taylor. Did I say Cooper?
Yeah, it was weird.
Cooper.
I was very confused.
My bad.
No, you're good. No, I'm not trading Dalvin Cook for Jonathan Taylor to get Jonathan Taylor. No. I think Jonathan Taylor is going to be a very good running back in this league. Dalvin Cook is a very good running back.
Yes.
I'm not mystery boxing this shit. Give me Dalvin Cook.
I'm with you. I mean, there's a lot of players you could see being dealt for him. Maybe a Miles Sanders. Maybe someone wants to make that move. But I don't know if Miles Sanders right now is more trustworthy than Jonathan Taylor going forward, because you have a guy who actually commits to the run in Frank Reich. and a guy who you don't know if he's even going to be there next year, in Doug Peterson. Because last week on this show, Chris Infante came on and said that he thinks Brian Daboll is the head coach week 1 next year.
He did, and that was interesting.
It was,
and we'll see how that unfolds, but it's tough 2 years removed from holding Lombardi to losing your job, in my opinion.
All right, we think we might have Chris back. Let's ask him that question. Chris, while you're gone for a second there, we were talking about Jonathan Taylor and his value finally going up. Looks like he's going to be the lead dog in there. In franchise leagues and keeper leagues, is this a guy that you would think about possibly moving a Dalvin Cook for in the offseason to get Jonathan Taylor to keep on your roster long term?
100%. And if I think I know what the problem is, I haven't updated my phone in like a month here. And right before, for some odd reason, the second time right now, when I came back around, the message popped up. Maybe you should probably update your phone because there's been sound bugs in here. You know, there's been bugs where the audio is like that. And with the new computer, I thought I had it all figured out because we were at the same exact point last week, and I thought I got it all figured out, but the computer is smarter than me, obviously, and I have yet to do that. So I need to take a long, hard, honest look at what I'm doing here.
We're just glad to have you back, man.
Thank you. So real quick, we're talking about Russell Gage. When I cut out last time, Atlanta plays Tampa Bay. His price has gone up, but the kid scored touchdowns in back-to-back weeks here. He scored a touchdown with Julio in the lineup. He scored a touchdown without Julio in the lineup. So at this point, it doesn't matter. I would try and get Russell Gage in my lineup. So it's kind of like a filler here. $5,700 on FanDuel, $4,700 on DraftKings. Now, I think it's time we mentioned the Baltimore Ravens wide receivers. Now, you know, Hollywood Brown and Boykin were put on the COVID IR, so that bumps up Willie Snead the fifth, and even Devin Duvernay, the rookie here. They're playing Jacksonville, as I said. Jacksonville is 24th overall against opposing wide receivers. Willie Snead is $5,400 on FanDuel, $4,300 on DraftKings, and Duvernay is even cheaper, $5,100 on FanDuel, $3,200 on DraftKings. And look, I'm going to try and take advantage of those price points while I can, because all this news, you know, their prices were set in stone on Sunday evening when the main slates, you know, were made available here. And then not till Monday or after Monday, after the game here, the Monday Night Football game, they were said that they were out with COVID here. So their prices are still very low given the potential workload that both guys are going to see here. So take a long, hard, honest look at me and how I handle my broadcasting connection, and then take a long, hard, honest look at the Baltimore Ravens wide receivers in this one. I think it'd be wise again to look at a guy like Mohamed Sanu this week. And as I mentioned in the article, there's a certain group of people, there's certain groups of all kinds of people. That truthers, the one is called the truther, one is called, I don't know what the other ones are called. And I know there is a group of people that they pay a lot of stock into, like the practice squad players, like the second and third string guys getting a lot of practice reps together, right? And now we have Mohamed Sanu. We could pair him up or stack him with Chase Daniel. You would imagine that both guys saw a lot of, you know, reps and practice time together in Sanu's limited time here in Detroit. So if you pay any stock into that, Sanu was only $5,000 on FanDuel, and he's even $3,000 on DraftKings. So given the matchup, Tennessee is going to control the ball a lot. We know that. Derrick Henry's going to run the heck out of the ball, but you know, the Lions are going to have to keep pace somehow in some way. So, you know, in a big 100,000 kind of player GPP, you know, $1 an entry, and you have 150 entries here. Why not throw a Chase Daniel, Mohamed Sanu kind of stack in there, stack, whatever you want to do it, and see what happens. You know, if Chase Daniels, as it stands now, guys, Chase Daniels is projected for about 250 passing yards and 2 touchdown passes. And at his price, as we said, $6,500 on FanDuel and even $5,000 on DraftKings. That's a lot of value in that for 250 yards and 2 touchdown passes. That gives your lineup a lot of leverage to go elsewhere. You'd probably be able to get Chase Daniel, Mohamed Sanu, and then you'd have a ton of money left to get Derrick Henry and Dalvin Cook in the same lineup here. So crazier things have happened literally in all the years I've been playing DFS. I've seen some wild big money winner lineups with some odd things here. So just pay some mind into that. I like the idea of Kendrick Bourne too in San Francisco. They go to Dallas, as I said. Dallas is 28th overall against opposing wide receivers, $4,800 on FanDuel, $4,100 on DraftKings here. Now, that all came about because it was Deebo Samuel went out really early, like in the first 5 minutes of the game, and he was put on IR. So he's not playing again for the rest of the season. And lo and behold, Kendrick Bourne saw the second most targets on the team in Deebo's absence here. So given the price, $4,800 on FanDuel and $4,100 on DraftKings, I think that I'm going to have major exposure to Kendrick Bourne this weekend, given the matchup here. And I think I saw Jeremy write that down. So I think we're on the right path here, guys. And then, let's touch on some tight ends real quick, and then before we get out of here, I want to double back to one running back who I think is going to be a big money ticket for us at a very low price. Cole Kmet, as when I left the broadcast, I was still able to see what you guys were doing, and you ran through the graphic cards here. And Cole Kmet is now, without a shadow of a doubt, the tight end one for Chicago. And I don't want to be rude and say, well, is that saying much? I don't know, but the kid has a ton of talent. And as I said at the beginning of the broadcast here, Mitch Trubisky is on a heater here, and Minnesota is like 11th or 12th against opposing tight ends here. So $5,100 on FanDuel and $3,000 on DraftKings. I've always told you guys, I punt tight end. Really, I build my lineup, and a tight end is the last piece of the puzzle that I do in my lineups here. And he's seen, I believe, if I remember this correct, back-to-back weeks of 6 targets, I believe. So back-to-back, so 12 targets in 2 weeks. Price hasn't really jumped up much, so I love his chances of finding the end zone this weekend. On the arm of Mitch Trubisky here. Gerald Everett is another guy that stuck out to me this weekend, and I don't know why, but I figured it out, since I published this. So Gerald Everett, Rams, they play the Jets. I mean, that's a slam dunk play across the board. They're 32nd against tight ends. $5,000 on FanDuel, $3,100 on DraftKings. And I couldn't put my finger on it, as I said, but then when I looked back into it, Gerald Everett he played 100% of the offensive snaps last week, and in the week before that he played, I believe, 53 of the Rams 60 offensive snaps here. So again, he's doing a ton of blocking. I would say 75 to 80% of those snaps he's blocking for a guy like Golf or Cam Akers now. But when you're on the field that much and at the price, something good is bound to happen. If you're on the field for 100% of the snaps here, you're bound to find the end zone. You're bound to catch a 20-yard pass or something. And at the price, a touchdown would be unbelievably crazy value here. So Gerald Everett. And one more guy I want to mention here is Cameron Brate. He scored a touchdown last weekend. Tampa Bay plays Atlanta. Atlanta is 30th overall against opposing tight ends. $4,600 on FanDuel, $2,700 on DraftKings. And not going to mention anything about Brady. Where I stand with Brady. We know who Tom Brady is. He's outstanding here. But a guy like Brady, if you look back through his career, historically, he scores in bunches, meaning he scored last week, and a bunch would be again this week, maybe 2 touchdowns here. Not projecting that, but he scores in bunches. So I wouldn't be shocked to find Cameron Brate in the end zone again, and then social media right after he scores go, well, who saw that coming? Back-to-back weeks with Cameron Brate. Well, bottom of the barrel.
That guy.
That's where you found it here. So if you give me one more minute of your time, guys, I want to go back to the running back, and that is Tennessee Titans running back Jeremy McNichols here. So, before the season started, it was always Derrick Henry. It will always be Derrick Henry, but the rookie Darrington Evans was supposed to be, Henry's backup, which doesn't get a lot of work here, but Evans has been he was on IR. He's been inactive. He hasn't had a carry since I think week 5. And it's now Jeremy McNichols backing him up here. So if you'll follow me real quick, a lot of what I do with bottom of the barrel, as I've tried to explain to the best of my ability to anybody that listens or reads here, is I come up with these weird game scripts in my head, how I think the game's going to go, based on, stats and rewatching other games here. And again, Tennessee is going to have their way with the Lions on the ground, in the air, however you want it. They're going to give it to the Lions every which way here on Sunday. I don't think that's a secret. So I could see a game script here where Tennessee is up big, 3 scores, 4 scores, maybe, right? It's in to start the second half here, and they have AFC to go back to the AFC championship game. They have big goals here for this team. So why would we run Henry into the ground against an inept Lions team? Let's give Jeremy McNichols a ton of touches. And he averages literally about 9 carries a game. I believe he got 11 carries last week. So another guy, just like Jeff Wilson, if you could promise me 10 plus, if you could promise me right on the money, 10 carries exactly for Jeremy McNichols, I would have 100% exposure. $4,800 on FanDuel, even $4,000 on DraftKings here. So hopefully that made sense with Jeremy McNichols here. I just see there's just no way around it. I mean, I don't have a crystal ball here, but Jeremy McNichols is going to get a ton of work after Derrick Henry gets 20 carries for 200 yards.
Yeah, it makes absolute sense. Kid out of Boise State's a hell of a running back.
Really
and Drew and I
is.
talked about that before the show, where I told him his hope on Derrick Henry not getting 60 points against him was that they get up early and they decide to turn the ball to McNichols. Excellent work as always. Chris, DFSCheatSheet.com, bottom of the barrel. Check that out. Follow him on Twitter at DetroitBC. And before we let you get out of here tonight, we're going to do a quick lightning round if you're in. All right. I will give you the format as well as the players to choose from.
Okay.
Up first, full point PPR, Jarvis Landry, T.Y. Hilton.
Jarvis Landry, not close to me.
Standard scoring, Jonnu or Hawk.
TJ Hawkinson, not close to me again.
Standard, Kiki Kute or CD Lamb.
I'm going to go CD Lamb in this one just to back up my bottom of the barrel selection.
Standard, Taysom Hill, Jalen Hurts or Mitch Trubisky.
I'm going to go in order. I'll give you the order here. Taysom Hill, Jalen Hurts, Mitchell Trubisky in that order.
But he's on a heater. Damn it.
Still Mitchie.
It still is Mitch at the end of the day.
Within reason. I mean, come on.
Right. No, I got you, man.
All right. Flex PPR. Lynn Bowden or Gio Bernard?
Lynn Bowden. Gio just completely turned me off last weekend.
Yeah. Standard, Goff versus the Jets or Rust versus the Washington football team?
I'm going to go, it might be surprising, I'm going to go Jared Goff in this one, given the fact, I know it's a lightning round, but if I remember correctly, Seattle is 26, or I might believe that Seattle's 30th overall in giving up sacks, and the Washington football team is 4th overall in getting sacks. So Russell Wilson is going to be in hell in Washington this weekend.
Absolutely. That defensive line is sick. And last one, standard scoring, Lamar or Baker?
Lamar. You can't. I mean, Lamar. Who are they playing? They're playing
Jacksonville. Yeah.
He might run for another 100 yards and then throw for 200 yards in this one.
Yeah, I didn't think that one was a tough one, but I put it in there anyways because the question was asked to me.
Before you kick me out here, I want to bring something up on the air between both of you. It's a question too. So we're in week 15. We've been together every week on Thursday since the inception of the season here. Now, I plan on writing a bottom of the barrel all the way up to, there will be a bottom of the barrel Super Bowl edition. So
nice.
If you'll have me, I'd love to keep back on all the way up to the Super Bowl to talk bottom of the barrel.
We would love to have you every week.
We can finish this thing up strong, tied in a nice bow, get some consistency. People tend to dig that.
Absolutely. Plus, we'll have plenty of questions moving forward for the off season of franchise and keeper leagues, and we will just keep building it, brother. You keep kicking ass. Follow him at Detroit BC. Check him out, DFSCheatSheet.com. Brother, thank you as always for joining us, and enjoy that Detroit weather, man.
You got it.
All right, see you, bud. Thanks again. All right, man.
Chris, always an excellent guest, man. It's so fun to have him on. And, sometimes I feel bad because we just sit here and we're just listening and we just let him go. And he's like, all of a sudden, he's like, hey, I got to catch my breath here. And I'm like, oh, shit, we should be running the show a little bit. But the guy is full of energy, ready to go. And, for all the people who watched last week and didn't see Chris, we didn't replace Chris with another Chris. There were a lot of people who are like, hey, we like your other Chris better. Like, the Chris you had on was really good, but the other Chris is what we needed. I'm like, we are not going to go 2 Chris's in one night probably because all hell broke loose when we did that last week.
Sure.
We'll keep our Chris quota down, but Chris joins us every week and he will continue to join us every week. And next week will probably be on Wednesday. We'll have to make sure Chris can do that. I forgot about that until just this second, but we're going to be moving on here. Let's start.
Derek Carr got hurt.
Hey. You're in the future, so
no, he got hurt a long time ago.
What happened with him?
He was just
Oh,
on a normal little roll and he just grabbed at his dick, and he is questionable return. So we got Super Mario, Marcus Mariota.
Listen, Marcus Mariota is a guy who's just going to throw the ball to Darren Waller constantly and get him about 100 points in fantasy.
That's what we need.
Your fantasy team's taking over the show tonight, brother. And yeah,
Yeah.
Derrick Henry, that matchup's going to be tough for you. But speaking of Derrick Henry, where'd he go to school?
What, Derrick Henry?
Yeah.
Alabama?
Alabama, absolutely. And Alabama, as we have that weak segue into the college football playoffs. Where am I? What's going on? College football playoff rankings came out this week. Bama number 1, Notre Dame number 2, Clemson number 3, and the Ohio State University number 4, followed by Texas A&M at 5, Iowa State at 6, and then Florida. After losing 37-34 in just a crap game that they played to LSU, who's been hot garbage, drops 1 spot. And then Cincy, who is undefeated, who I've been championing all year. Give me Fickleball, baby. They're sitting at 9, undefeated. Indiana, 6-1, only team they lost to. Ohio State, 11. Coastal Carolina, undefeated at 12. That one I kind of get. What do you think? I mean,
you keep disrespecting the Chanticleers out your mouth if you're going to disrespect North Carolina.
But they snuck that game out against Troy, the wannabe USC Trojans. They snuck that game. They won it. They stayed undefeated. And you already said trash. I mean, what?
No, the single thing that is absolute trash is Cincinnati getting jobbed for no reason at all.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely no reason. They didn't play a game. Florida somehow dropped. So, like, the dude chucked a shoe. They lost the game. And here comes Cincinnati, who's sitting there, haven't lost a game. They're just waiting to move up. They've done everything they've been asked to do. They get jobbed. It's ridiculous, in my opinion. And it's like, is the BCS damn effing computer better than this bullshit? Because this isn't great. This isn't great. How does Cincinnati – I just don't understand it. You got teams with 2 losses that don't deserve to be where they're ranked, and you have Cincinnati here. Like, what are we supposed to do? What are we supposed to do?
Yeah, they're basically saying, "Hey, we don't care about you. We're not interested."
And they've beaten good teams, and the teams they played, they've beaten the shit out of almost every single week. Cincinnati deserves the respect.
Absolutely. And as we start our preview for the weekend here, we got great football matchups. We got NFL on Saturday. We got conference championships on Saturday. We got NFL on Sunday. We got NFL on Monday. It is going to be a great week of football. And these college football playoff rankings, yeah, they make zero sense to me. And I've reached out to the committee, to their media members to try to, through media sources, to try to get someone coming on the show here soon. Hopefully next week we will get booked. They said they will get back to me. We want to talk about these rankings and why Cincinnati, when you said it, can sit there and they don't play a game and they drop. It makes zero sense. Florida plays like crap.
Teams that lose don't drop below them. They didn't lose a game, and somehow Florida is still above them. I just don't understand.
I mean, Iowa State sitting at 6 in a game between Indiana and Iowa State. Keep in mind that Iowa State lost to Louisiana, who I think is 19.
Iowa State has 2 losses.
Yeah, and Indiana, whose only loss is to the Buckeyes, sits at 11. I mean, in a game between Indiana, I don't know who that is, but Indiana, for those of us who can read maps, if they play Iowa State right now, who do you think wins that game?
Indiana.
If
Indiana plays Iowa State?
Yeah.
Yes, I do believe Indiana wins.
I think it's a close game, and yeah, losing their quarterback sucks. They still showed that they can win without him. So moving on, we'll talk about the games on the field because we could go on about how crap the rankings really are. And you brought up the BCS. Bullshit, I hated the BCS.
The Cincinnati's thing is BS. Like what the hell is the difference between putting a bunch of stuff in a computer and then you come up with this ridiculous ass, okay, these are the playoff teams, or like this is the final 2 teams. Like, what the hell is the difference?
There's none. I mean, we're still trying to figure out what the hell's going on each week. So, first game we're going to talk about Cincinnati, the American Athletic Conference, the championship game live from Nippert Stadium, 8 p.m. on ABC Saturday night. Tulsa, 6-1, a team who I think should get more national pub than they do, especially with one of their players who I'll talk about later. Cincinnati, 8-0. Tulsa's only loss is Oklahoma State, who will play. I mean, I mean, Oklahoma State isn't that great this year, but it's still Oklahoma State, Big 12 team, only team to beat a team that plays in the American Athletic Conference. Cincinnati's O-line is a killer. That is a hell of a team. They impose their will upon teams. And Ritter is better this year than he was last year when they were still pretty good. He was 53% completion rate. Now he's up to 67. I mean, and they can win shootouts. They can win tight games. I think they have 700 yards of passing the last 2 games. I mean, Cincinnati deserves to move ahead in the college football playoff rankings. They need to win this game to prove it. But on the other side, Tulsa, man, Tulsa's a fun team, and that defense is really good, led by my favorite player defensively in the nation right now, and that's Zaven Collins. 6'4", 260. This kid's big. He's scary. He's fast. He's rangy. He can rush the passer. He can tackle like nobody's business. And he has a 96-yard interception return. A 96-yard interception return for a guy who's 6'4", 260. Nobody caught the dude. That's how good he is. This is going to be a fun game. Who do you like in this game?
I like Cincinnati. Tulsa's fast. Their pace is fun. But give me I think the hog mollies at both sides of the line is the difference in this game.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think it's definitely going to come down to just O-lines kill them. And Cincinnati just, the way they instill their will upon teams, it's absolutely going to be them who does it. But I think it's a close game. I don't think this is a game that by the third quarter, like, yeah, Cincinnati's blown them out or vice versa. I think this is a 30-23 game, but I do have Cincy. And if Cincinnati wins, they need to move up in those rankings. It needs to make sense, or you have to tell us why you're not moving them ahead. And
because you hate Skyline Chili.
I mean,
the committee hates Skyline Chili.
I hate Skyline Chili.
Well,
it's trash.
Well, you're part of the committee then. That's the reason they're ranked where they are. If they didn't have that
don't put cinnamon in chili.
I listen. I don't like Skyline Chili either. I'm just saying the committee. Skyline Chili is a big swaying subject for the committee.
I mean, cover it in all the cheese you want. And that's fine, but it's still don't put cinnamon in chili. And why
also we have to let people enjoy their chili the way they want to enjoy their chili. So if you want a Skyline Chili, that's fine. You can't disrespect people for Skyline Chili, and that's what the committee's doing.
Listen, I'm not disrespecting people who like Skyline Chili. That's fine. You like it, that's fine. Yes. People like certain things, but it's trash. Anyway, speaking of trash, Notre Dame and Brian Kelly. They're in the ACC title game.
I agree with that.
Clemson, the third-ranked team in the country, only lost Notre Dame earlier this year when DJ played the ukulele started in place of Trevor Lawrence. Notre Dame number 2 in the rankings. This is a 4 p.m. kickoff on ABC in Charlotte. This is a huge game for Clemson. And by his reaction, I'm guessing Darren Waller just got a touchdown.
Darren Waller time.
Darren Waller, baby. Listen, this game is totally different than last time because Trevor Lawrence is playing. And DJ, hell of a player. That kid's going to be a star coming up. But Trevor Lawrence is Trevor Lawrence. Yeah. That was a dime, man, that I just saw.
Sorry, that was a ridiculous. Marcus Mariota and Darren Waller, they love each other. It's just wonderful.
I apologize
to everybody watching this on the live thing, but I was doing lasers. I was excited there. Here we go.
And
I agree with you.
Back to the game. Notre Dame's lines are really good. They're good on both sides, and they grind, and then Ian Book just does enough to win. But the last time these two teams played, we can blame, the freshman quarterback and no Trevor Lawrence, but Travis Etienne was held to 28 yards. Notre Dame was 10 of 19 on third down. So Clemson's defense definitely needs to step up. I mean, they were banged up, but that's not an excuse when you're giving up 10 and 19 on third down and your star running back only gets 28 yards. Who do you like in this one?
Clemson.
Trevor
Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence playing. Trevor Lawrence was not playing before. Here, Notre Dame's a good team, and you made a really good point. Is they do a very good job of stopping the run. However, in the previous matchup, you didn't have what many consider to be one of the better QB prospects coming out in quite some time. So I think Trevor Lawrence back. I think the team has a little bit more juice. I was talking to you earlier. The line on this game is ridiculous, and I'm not touching it. It's something like 10.5. I think Clemson wins. I think the game's good.
I think it's going to be a hell of a game, and I expect Clemson to win as well. And I mean, for every team behind Clemson, they've got to be rooting for Notre Dame. Because if you're Texas A&M, you have a chance to sneak in. If you're Iowa State and you can beat Oklahoma, you have a chance to sneak in. If all these teams lose, including Ohio State, who we'll get to in a second, Cincinnati can creep up to maybe number 8, and they'll end up putting Florida in after they lose 3 games. But Clemson, I think, wins this game. I think this is Clemson's showing out that they haven't had all year. I don't think they've had that great put-together game. They've been good at times.
Weird season, man.
It is. It's a weird season, absolutely. But I got Clemson 38-24. I'm with you. Both of us taking Clemson on this one. Make sure I mark those down. Moving on, ABC has another fun game. 6-2 Iowa State, the 6th-ranked team against 10th-ranked team Oklahoma. This is a noon kickoff, I believe, at the Jerry Dome. Iowa State won the first meeting 37-30.
Iowa State
Cyclone can win this game if Breece Hall is special and Brock Purdy isn't trying to be special. For Oklahoma, their D needs to show up, man. Oklahoma's D hasn't shown up all year.
Dude,
and we always make fun of the Big 12.
Oklahoma's D hasn't shown up in a decade. I mean, the Big 12, I mean, and I respect the players in the conference and shit, but let's not act like there's a damn, like, their teams are embarrassed. These shootouts, it's a joke. Yeah, Oklahoma's defense hasn't shown up in a goddamn decade.
Yeah, I feel like the Big 12
games they've won, they've hung up a 4-0 piece, at least.
You like Iowa State in this one?
Yep.
I'm with you. I'm going to pick Iowa State too, but I think this game, I mean, if Spencer Rattler can be consistent and Oklahoma's D just shows up for a few plays,
can we acknowledge
they should win this game?
Can we acknowledge
Spencer Rattler?
It's a damn good one.
I believe he's from Arizona too. Rattlesnakes.
Oh shit, he knows, dude. He knows what about them Rattlers.
There is a show, QB1 on Netflix. He was on it. Pretty good show. Check it out. It was interesting about his recruiting and all that.
Plugging shit right now. You're plugging shit.
Hey, it was a good show. And I mean, if you're watching this, after you watch this,
yeah, go ahead and turn it on now. I mean,
wait, or put us in your headphones. No, listen, you can watch.
All right, dude. No, don't give him any ideas. All right.
Moving on, we're both taking Iowa State in that one. Big Ten game, conference championship. Lots of talk around this one because Ohio State gets in playing only 5 games. And everyone's like, well, you said you had to play more games than that. Big Ten knows who their cash cow is. Big Ten knows who their only hope to a college football playoff championship is. And that's the Ohio State Buckeyes. Buckeyes are 5-0. But there's a lot of talk right now that there is an outbreak of COVID within the team, and a star player will not be in the game on Saturday. That player, we don't know for sure. We've heard rumors. There's rumors that it's Chris Olave. Nothing has been set in stone. So until something is 100%, don't buy into it. For right now, Chris Olave is in. If he's not, he's probably played his last game as a Buckeye because with 21 days,
ridiculous,
which is ridiculous with the Big Ten. That goes through the college football playoff. It goes through all this, so you won't ever see him. Buckeyes, if they want to win this game, they got to turn out the lights quick, and they can do that. Get this Northwestern team down early and just start moving on. But they've got to do that because Northwestern, the way they play, is they like to muck things up, man. They like to play in the mud. They like to slow things down, and they have a damn good pass D. Against Purdue, who's the number 1 passing team in the Big Ten, they held them 260 yards, which is about 100 yards less than their season average. Northwestern can win this game if they do that early, if the entire Buckeyes team has COVID and they're forced to play 7 players on offense. I just don't see Northwestern hanging in this game. I got the Buckeyes winning 41-7. What do you say?
Yeah, no, I agree. The spread's 20. I think it's covered. It's that simple. I mean, Ohio State's a better team. I mean, yeah. I don't know. Even with Chris Olave out, and that's speculation, like you said. Even if that is the case, Ohio State's talent will run them off the field.
And this isn't saying anything bad to Northwestern. They're a very tough football team. They're well coached, and they do have a chance in this game. Like I said, if they just
hell of a coach out there, dude. He's a hell of a coach.
And there's talk about while we're talking Pat Fitzgerald, he basically has a lifetime contract there. We know that. Basically, as long as this team doesn't lose some record like 30 straight games, Pat Fitzgerald's going to be the head coach in Northwestern. Do you agree?
Yes. Unless he
There
wants
is
to go other way.
exactly. And will he be intrigued by the option to coach the Chicago Bears, which is a rumor that is out there right now? Could you see him leaving to coach Chicago Bears?
I don't think so. I really don't think so. I think Pat Fitzgerald's going to be happy there for a little while, and then we'll see what happens. I'm not coaching Mr. Trubisky. That's simple for me.
Love how it always goes back. And I'm with you on that. I don't think he leaves. Moving on to our next game, we're just picking the same thing here. And by the way, people, as we're picking games here, I do have to bring this up. Last week, Drew went 12-3.
I'm sorry?
And I went 7-8.
Oh,
and now this huge lead that I had is down to one game. So I think I'll just let him pick all the games first, and then I'll pick all the same ones just to hold for the rest of the year. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to be a bitch. Anyway, SEC title game. This one, I think, is the biggest blowout of the weekend. But there's a chance it could not be based on a few things. 8 p.m., Mercedes-Benz Dome, Atlanta, Georgia. Bama 10-0 against Florida 8-2. For Florida, there's no pressure on this game, and that's the only thing that can keep them in it.
Yeah.
I also think your Heisman winner comes from this game, whether it's Mac Jones, Devontae Smith, Najee Harris, or Kyle Trask. And for people looking ahead to the NFL draft thinking, my team should draft Kyle Trask in the first round. Kyle Trask is not a first-round quarterback.
Not at all.
He's not a second-round quarterback. He might be a third-round quarterback. A lot of things going against him. Average arm strength, and he's slow as shit. Looks like he's stuck in the mud. But don't take away what he's done this year because he's had a Joe Burrow-esque season as far as what he's done on the field. Kid's been really freaking good. Kyle Pitts is a star. But Bama is just too damn much. Their offensive line is probably the best offensive line they've had there ever. And that's saying something because they just send out talent every year. Also have the number one recruiting class this year. Buckeyes close at number 2. But I got this game 44-20, maybe 51-24, something like that. This game is going to be a blowout. I mean, you see any way Florida stays in this game?
No, I don't. And I listen, and Florida is a solid team. Alabama's the better team. The SEC is not the cream. I think it's a little different this year, but I think Alabama is clearly the cream of the crop in the SEC. I guess what I want to say.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we move on to the NFL, we're going to take a quick break here. I'm going to plug some things. Let's plug our sponsors. Kitty Cove Daycare at Kitty Cove OH on Facebook. Check them out. Be sure if you need childcare, go ahead and look them up because there's not a better place for your kid to go where you know they're going to be taught, they're going to be taken care of, they're going to get healthy meals. Everything will be taken care of. You just work with them. Kitty Cove OH on Facebook. Kitty Cove Daycare. It's in Ohio. It's in Eastlake. Check them out. They do a good job. Also, check out Conceal Carry Firearms Training. That's right. Babes and Guns. 440-391-4118. Give them a call if you're looking to get your CCW. If you want to get your concealed carry, these are the guys to call. Give them a call. They'll set you up with a class. You get in with the group. They'll show you how to properly use your weapon, take care of you, and make sure that when you have that weapon, not only do you feel safe with it, but you feel confident in what you're doing because that is what you need to have if you're going to carry that gun and you're not used to it. Check them out, 440-391-4118. And thank you again to our final sponsor here, Manhattan Deli Menor. Check them out, 440-974-0055. Call them for all your catering needs. If you need help this holiday with food, and you're like, we're not having a big gathering because we can't. We're having a small gathering. Give them a call. They'll take care of all the catering and food. So it's one less thing you have to worry about this year. 440-974-0055. Check them out on Grubhub, DoorDash, Facebook. Check them out at Manhattan Deli Menor on Facebook. Order anything you want. Carry out. Get it to go. Come in, sit in the dining room. You name it. They will take care of you. And now we're going to move on in just a second, but I want to plug one more thing, and I thank you guys for listening to this. Check out our new merchandise at bonfire.com/store/FCFSTs, all kinds of stuff. And if there's a design you like or something you want to see, hit us up. Hit me up on Twitter at Somerville CLE. Hit Drew up at Detroit Dave 7. Hit us up. Tell us what you like. And do that with the entire show. We want to know what we're doing well and what you guys don't like. And while I got this second, I'll go through. We have some comments. Who's the last team to play the College All-Stars? Chris Somerville asked. That is my dad. Last team to play College All-Stars. I'm guessing it had to be in the 50s or 60s. So if that's the case, I'm going to go with Kansas. No, I'll go with Green Bay. Green Bay would make sense based on the timeline. Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm not, but we'll see. And now that Drew has returned, we are going to move on to talk NFL. And before we get to our game of the week, which is an NFL game, and it's really hard not to make Notre Dame Clemson the game of the week, we're going to talk Chargers Raiders because this game's going on right now. It's a Thursday night game. Chargers are down 10-7 at the 2-minute warning, I believe. Raiders are 7-6. Chargers are 4-9. But this is a big game for both teams. Chargers at 4-9, they're playing for Anthony Lynn's job. I think he's out regardless. But you want to see how this team finishes the season. And for the Raiders, they struggled with the Jets, barely snuck by it. You got stomped by Atlanta 43-6. If you want to be a playoff team, you have to win this game and basically win out going forward. Raiders win this even without Derek Carr tonight?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think adding the element of Marcus Mariota and his legs and the fact that the Chargers haven't had to kind of game plan for a player like him all week long, putting him in the mix already through the strike to Waller. I expect the Raiders to win. And this was kind of the issue with the Raiders last year. They're so up and down, right?
They're always up and down. That's the problem with the Raiders, is we haven't been able to figure out who they are all year. You know, 1 second they're just destroying the Browns and instilling their will on them like they're Cincinnati and just dominating. And then the next second we see them just get destroyed. We haven't seen Derek Carr do it. They haven't put together a full game all year, and they've got to win out basically to make the playoffs. You see them making the playoffs?
No.
So you got the Raiders winning this one. I will mark that down. I also think the Raiders win this one. But, man, once again, we have to give credit to what Justin Herbert has done this year. All credit to the kid. He's worked his ass off. He's been a stud. And it's exciting because now when you're looking for a coach this offseason, mainly because Anthony Lynn can't manage the time at all during the game, you have something where you're like, hey, we got a quarterback. You can come in. You can mold this kid. I mean, what are you going to do with him? Moving on, let's talk our game of the week. And our game of the week this week is the 10-3 New Orleans Saints welcoming in the 12-1 Kansas City Chiefs. And maybe Drew Brees comes back. I don't think he does. They're talking about a lot of things he's got to do before he comes back. But this is going to be a Taysom Hill versus, Pat Mahomes. This guy is pretty good. This game, it could be a preview of the Super Bowl. It's going to be a damn good game. Andy Reid in his career, 4-3 against Saints. Sean Payton 1-1 against the Chiefs. The Chiefs have already clinched the AFC West. They're just trying to clinch basically home field advantage and that bye, since there's only one bye in each league. Kansas City can, if they win, plus Pittsburgh and Buffalo lose, which is unlikely, they can clinch that bye. For the Saints, they got to get back on track after last week's stumble against Jalen Hurts and the Eagles. Who you like in this game?
I like Kansas City. And I don't think Brees is going to play. I don't think they're going to rush him back. New Orleans is going to be in the playoffs. To me, there's too much firepower in Kansas City. I just don't think that Taysom Hill can keep up with it. Mm-hmm. My personal opinion. I'll take Kansas City here.
I agree with you there. I mean, there's obviously a ton of firepower. Travis Kelce leads the league in receiving yards at tight end. And I think Darren Waller is behind him by like 450 yards at the tight end spot alone. That's just how good Travis Kelce is. You see how good Travis Kelce is, how good Tyreek Hill is, what they can do. Yes, the Saints defense is really good. And credit to the Saints defense for what they've been, but the Saints defense hasn't seen an offense like this. Now, for the Saints to win, Taysom Hill not only has to be good, he has to be great. And they're going to have to run the ball with him. They're going to have to throw them off with passes. They're going to have to be tricky. I just don't see them doing it. I think Kansas City says, hey, you know what? We've coasted most this year. This is a big game again. Let's ramp it up. Kansas City moves to 13-1.
I agree, man. They're good. They flip the switch, it seems like, at any point.
They do it, and they're playing around. I mean, look at last week. Pat Mahomes had 3 picks, and they were still up 20.
Pretty sure Travis Kelce's leading the league in, like, receiving yards.
Yeah, 1,250 last I checked.
So he's a tight end. So I don't even know.
This guy's a hell of a player. If Travis Kelce retires after this year, is he a Hall of Famer?
No.
I'm with you. A couple more years. Damn good player. A couple more years, though. Broncos 5-8, travel to face the Bills 10-3 on Saturday. This is a Saturday 4:30 kickoff.
Let's go with Saturday night football. I love
so much Saturday football.
I love this time of year.
They can clinch the AFC East with a win, a Miami loss, or if both tie. The Buffalo Bills are going to be the AFC East champions most likely no matter what, but they can clinch it this week. I'm trying to find what I had written down here. Anyway.
And they do.
You think they do it? You think they win? The Drew Lock we saw last week, was that the Drew Lock that we've expected to see? Is that the Drew Lock going forward, or was that just an anomaly?
I don't want to say it was an anomaly, but he just is not consistent enough. It's that simple. He's just not consistent enough.
Next year, do you maybe bring someone in to battle him, or do you say, you know what, enough, we're going to get another guy?
Well, you definitely have to bring in somebody to battle him. Whether it's tough because it's like, you know, is whether or not that's a draft pick.
Mm-hmm.
A free agent. But at the same time, you certainly have to consider pretty much everything because I don't think it's the answer.
I mean, it's tough. The kid has shown things at times, and I mean, you put so much stock into the thing around him. You got Phillip Lindsay, you got Melvin Gordon, Jerry Jeudy, who basically is out there running sprints every game. And yeah, he's starting to play better now. You're starting to see him get the ball, but KJ Hamler finally gets the ball. There's just so many weapons, Noah Fant, so many weapons you put around the kid, and he hasn't done it. I think you definitely at least have to bring in, maybe a veteran to battle him. That's a great spot for Matt Stafford if he gets dealt. Something you got to look forward to here. Now,
and Elway knows it. Elway knows it. You know what I mean? He knows what the situation is. That's really all I had. Go ahead to the next game.
Seattle Seahawks 9-4.
Don't be bringing up Stafford right now.
Against the Washington football team 6-7. Seattle can clinch a playoff berth with a win or a Minnesota-Chicago tie. Who you got in this one?
Washington is my favorite team to watch defensively in the league. It's not even close. It's not even close. Matt Graydon. Listen, I know Matt Stafford's going to get traded. I just need to absorb everything, right? I know he's going to get traded. I hope he gets traded. What he gets traded for is different. I got thrown off guard. What was I saying?
Washington football team.
Oh, watching that defense is my favorite thing on Sundays. That front four is what I wish the Detroit Lions front four was.
Sick.
You draft Montez Sweat. Okay. Oh, he's a beast. Oh, we can add Chase Young. Oh, yeah, we'll add Chase Young. That front four is so much fun to watch. With that being said, Seattle, I think, still wins, but I think Russ has issues because his offensive line is not exactly fantastic. So I think they do give him fits. However, I think Seattle's a better team. They end up winning. I know Alex Smith's I don't think he practiced today. If he did, it was very limited. He's been dinged up because of that calf. He's definitely won comeback player of the year. Can't even argue. I don't want to hear anything else from anybody else. It's incredible what he's done. I'm still going to go with Russ. I hope he cooks to the tune of like 914 yards, 6 to 10 touchdowns. Anywhere between that would be great.
If Dwayne Haskins starts this game, I think Seattle wins it. And I think Dwayne Haskins will still be a solid quarterback in this league. He's just not there yet. He's still a work in progress. Alex Smith keeps them in the game better. But I still think Seattle wins this game, and I don't think they're going to I think this is going to be a tight game, 17-14 type game, but I will take Seattle as well. Moving on, we have the 4-8-1 Eagles.
Check out this punt, bro. Check out this punt when you come into the future. Check out this punt. I'm sorry to break this up, but go ahead, keep going. I just
dude, that looked like the ugliest shank. That looked like my golf shot.
Jesus Lord, talk about flipping the field. They just gave them field position 50.
Trash. That was just terrible for Oakland. That was an Oakland punt. Giving the Chargers the ball. I mean,
with a minute left in great field position,
tied at 10. So this is a big game for the Raiders. They need to get their shit together. Eagles 4-8-1 with a chance to play spoiler. Basically, they have an outside chance of winning the division still because that division's been such trash.
Yeah,
they're traveling to Arizona 7-6, and Arizona needs to get back on track. Last week they beat the Giants 26-7, finally got a win. But Kyler Murray hasn't looked like Kyler Murray. This was a team we thought were going to roll to the playoffs. I think they were 6-3 at one point. Now we're looking at 7-6. The Eagles and Jalen Hurts play spoiler once again, or does Arizona stay in the playoff race with the victory?
No, I think they do stay in the playoff race because I think there's way more issues than just the quarterback position for the Philadelphia Eagles. However, Kyler Murray's not been great. I feel like if they bring in like a Freddie Kitchens, it's an OC, he would like really blossom. If they just let him call the plays. But no, in all seriousness, I'll take Arizona. I just haven't seen enough consistency offensively.
Listen, if Doug Peterson commits to Miles Sanders and they run the football like they did last week, I think the Eagles can do this. The Eagles defense has played lights out at times. They're still really good. Fletcher Cox is still one of the best defensive tackles, if not one of the best defensive players in all of football. But I just haven't seen enough from Doug Peterson to commit to that run game. So I'm with you. I'm going to take Arizona. Moving on, another decent playoff matchup in the AFC. It's the Miami Dolphins with the chance to stay in the AFC East race, to stay in the playoff race by beating the New England Patriots. 8-5 Miami welcomes 6-7 New England. New England play spoiler here?
Yeah.
I think New England.
I think Billy will dial up something defensively too. Hasn't seen. I will take the Patriots here, although I think their quarterback's a disaster.
Yeah.
I mean, shit. We had Chris earlier talking about potentially starting Jared Stidham as a sleeper in your DFS lineups. I mean, Christ. Cam Newton, and you and I said it all offseason. We've been saying it for a year. Dude's arms are going to fall off. We've seen it all year. Nothing's changed. Anybody that saw him knows he's nowhere near the quarterback. Yeah, if you want a quarterback and get you a yard, then he's the best. But if you need a quarterback that can throw a yard, he's the worst. I'm going to still go with them, although I'm ripping on Cam, just because I feel like defensively they're going to do something like they did to the Chargers.
Defensively, you're absolutely right. I think this game is just going to be flat out ugly. But what I saw out of Miami last week and what I think they can do against the Patriots, as far as shutting them down completely on offense, this is going to be like a 6-3 ball game. It's going to be flat out ugly. And I am going to take Miami to win it.
To a season.
But I'm not sure about that. I mean, it's tough. And Cam, listen, he's a good dude. Love what he does with the kids and, always make sure the kids get the football that far. But they just...
You ever seen what the hell he wears on his damn ugly-ass head?
I don't care if he dresses like a...
All right, well, bullshit. He looks like an idiot. He looks like an idiot.
Hey, you don't know style, bro.
I clearly don't. And either does anybody else because nobody thinks that shit looks good.
Moving on, we're going to go to the NFC North. Chicago Bears 6-7, Minnesota Vikings 6-7. These teams basically need to win out and hope everyone else loses in order to make the playoffs. Who you like in this one?
Minnesota has a decent chance, I think. And I could be wrong, but I think Minnesota has a decent chance. But I'm taking Minnesota. Every time Chris kept saying Mitchie's hot, and I can't take it. That's bullshit. Mitchie's trash. I'm taking Minnesota. God bless his family.
Mitchie 24-33 for 267, 3 scores last week. You know what's making Mitchie good right now? Is he knows he's done basically in Chicago. He's playing with no pressure. They don't need to worry about anything. But I also think it's Minnesota in this. I think there's too much on the line. Give the ball to Dalvin. give the ball to Dalvin a lot, get those scoring points with Dalvin, plus it helps me in fantasy, but give Dalvin the ball. Minnesota goes. And our final game of the night, Sunday Night Football. And this one, what a weird turn it took today when we found out Jason Garrett has COVID-19, will not be calling the plays. And Freddie Kitchens, the former Browns head coach, will be calling the plays for the New York Football Giants. And a lot of people are like, well, look how bad Freddie was calling plays last year. But just like I said with the pressure, no pressure on Mitchie, when Freddie had a chance to call plays and there was no pressure on him, and he was calling someone else's offense, Freddie was really good calling plays. It got him the job last year. So Freddie could be a wild card. The problem is you're probably leaning towards starting Colt McCoy. Daniel Jones hurt, hasn't played well. Why put him out there? Give it to Colt McCoy. Let it be a full Browns revenge game. Jabril Peppers wants to be angry.
You know why put him out there? Because, and of course, if he's hurt and he can't play, then don't put him out there. But why put him out there? Because I don't know what the hell Daniel Jones really is. I don't know if this is a guy that I need to keep on my, that I can plan my future around, or is this a guy that I need to kind of start thinking of the future and drafting somebody? That's why. And to hit your point on Freddie Kitchens, not everybody's a head coach, right? Yep. Not everybody's a head coach. And that's okay. Guys can be coordinated. Freddie Kitchens is a coordinator. He's a tight ends coach, apparently right now. But listen, I think the Browns are the more talented team. I think the Browns run the football down the Giants' throat. And I will take the Browns, which is weird because I've taken the Browns a lot this year, and it seems comfortable for me.
I mean, you went against them last week, but you said you wanted him to win. And
I did.
You're right on that. And I wanted him to win too, obviously. But, yeah, I mean, this game is a trap game for the Browns. Because as a Browns fan, Freddie Kitchens calling plays, that's not what you're worried about. It's the fact that James Bradbury's out. And James Bradbury, for all the people who have been like, oh, James Bradbury's not that big a loss, James Bradbury's played almost elite this year. He's been excellent. He's been very, very good on that defense.
Arguably one of their best defenders.
Absolutely. Jabril Peppers has also played really well in that secondary, but Jabril Peppers will be there. The thing is they have no pass rush. Bradbury's out. This looks like a game the Browns should roll. And Kevin Stefanski's Browns have rolled in these games. But it's also such a trap game because Browns should win. It should be easy. And I'm going to take the Browns. But don't overlook this team because this team is scrappy, and Joe Judge, the Fighting Joe Judges, have played pretty well with their back against the wall. And they need to win this game to stay in the playoff race. Both teams need to win this football game. This is a big game for both teams. And this week on @FCFS Pod on Twitter, I put out a question: which New York quarterback would you rather have starting for your team in 2021? And I put Jets Sam Darnold and Giants.
What'd you answer? What'd you answer?
I said Sam Darnold.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. How about you?
Sam Darnold.
I'm with you. However, 57.1% of the vote went to Daniel Jones.
That's fine. I mean, I'm not going to act like some sort of fucking freaking shoe-in. You know what I mean? It's not like it's like saying, but I think Adam Gase is kind of like he's almost a coach out to ruin people. And he's doing a damn good job. I just worry. The one thing I worry about is Sam Darnold is he's already ruined.
Yeah.
That certainly could be the case.
It absolutely could be the case. And I like Sammy D. I hope he gets out and he goes. I mean, maybe Pittsburgh is an opportunity for him next year. But that team needs to figure out their salary cap before they do that, because I don't think the Jets are going to give Sam Darnold away, but Trevor Lawrence is a starter there next year. But with that being said, those are our game picks for the Week 15. I think there's only one game we didn't agree on, actually. That's Miami, New England. So if New England wins, you will then tie me for our records for the season. We have done the NFL. We've done the NCAA. We are now finally to the highlight of the show. It is time, ladies and gentlemen, for Ward's Wagers, sponsored by Latani CBD Olive Oil. Drew 43-18-2 against spread in 2019. 2-1 last week, 17-12-1 on the year. And for those of you who don't know what Latani CBD Olive Oil is, go to LataniProducts.com. It will be available soon. Get your CBD olive oil. Check it out. Thanks for the sponsorship. Andrew, take it away.
All right, here we go. I got four 4 games this week. Originally, when I texted Jeremy, I said I hated the board, but I actually grew to love the board this week. We're going to start Cleveland heading to the Meadowlands out there to play the Giants. The Giants are getting 6. Excuse me. I'm going to take Cleveland -6. Next game, Kansas City at New Orleans. We touched on this game earlier. New Orleans is +3. Regardless of them getting points at home, I don't think Taysom Hill can keep up with Patrick Mahomes and company. We will take the Chiefs in that one. Then we head over to the Buffalo-Denver game. Buffalo traveling on the road. As you can see a trend here, I'm taking 3 road teams. Buffalo, a 6-point dog heading to Denver. I'm still going with Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen is going to throw 400 touchdowns to Stephon Diggs, and people are going to dance on rooftops. And then finally, Chicago Bears heading to Minnesota. Minnesota -3. I think Minnesota gets a win because I think Mitch sucks, and I hate the Bears. That's all I got.
That was excellent work, my friend. People in Buffalo, if you're dancing on roofs during the winter, please be safe.
Yeah.
We know how you guys
party. It's icy out there.
And people in Buffalo, man, we got to get up there for a tailgate because that looks like a hell of a lot of fun. Tell us the best place to tailgate up in Buffalo. Brother, excellent work. You got Cleveland, KC, Buffalo, Minnesota. You got the road teams. Ward's Wagers. Let's go 4-0 this week. Let's get that record going up. You've been 2-1 the last 3 weeks. Absolutely getting back on track in this weird 2020.
I think I was like 1-5 to start the year. So we're just heading back in the right direction.
Absolutely getting back there. Everyone watching the show, thank you very much for checking us out. And one more thing here. Here's our question. It was, who's the last NFL team to play college all-stars? I said Green Bay in the 60s. He says last game was played in the 70s. You got a guess on this thing?
Nope.
All right.
I don't have a clue.
Hit us up with the correct answer there. Let us know what it is. Before we get out of here tonight, remember you can check us out every Thursday usually at 8 p.m. Next week we will be on Wednesday. Check us out due to Christmas. Hope everyone's all getting ready for the holidays, getting excited. Check us out on Wednesday. We'll make sure Chris can join. We will see. Thank you everyone for watching. Check us out on Twitter, on Facebook, and the answer is the Steelers. Huh. Good for them. In the 70s, playing a college team.
Beloved franchise.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know what I was saying. Check us out everywhere. Twitter, Facebook, at Somerville CLE, at FCFS Pod. Facebook, fb.me/FCFS Pod. Anywhere you listen to your podcast, you can find us there. We had a hell of a long show tonight. Fun show. Hope everyone enjoyed it. Hit us up on those spots. Tell us what you like. Tell us what you didn't like. Chargers up 17-10 at the half.
Everybody pray for Darren Waller
Raiders
for many touchdowns and fruitful receptions.
Darren Waller, how many points you got at half here?
11.
11.
Yeah, 11.
89 more points to go, and you got your wish. Brother, good luck in fantasy this weekend. Hope you have a great weekend. Well. Enjoy your football. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, thank you for watching. And as always, remember, if you live the life you love, you love the life you live. Good night.
See you next